The year was 2035, and humanity had barely begun to understand the vastness of the universe. Earth had made remarkable strides in space exploration, but the planet was still far behind in technology compared to many of the alien species scattered across the galaxy. That was about to change. The Draconian Empire, one of the most feared and ruthless empires in the galaxy, had set its sights on Earth. Their fleet, massive and awe-inspiring, arrived in Earth's orbit without warning. The Draconians were a race of warlords, their ships brimming with advanced weaponry, and their soldiers feared for their strength and ruthlessness. The mere thought of their invasion sent waves of terror through every corner of the galaxy. If they wanted something, they took it, and no one dared to oppose them. News of their arrival quickly spread across Earth. Governments scrambled to respond, but they knew they were powerless to stop the alien invaders. Military experts and world leaders watched in disbelief as the Draconian fleet hung above the planet like a dark cloud. The ships were so enormous that they blocked out the sun in certain areas. People stared up at the sky, unsure of what was coming next. On the ground, nations prepared for what seemed like the inevitable. People huddled in their homes, unsure if the world would survive this invasion. It was only a matter of time before the Draconians descended to Earth's surface and claimed it as their own. But what the invaders didn't know was that Earth, for all its apparent vulnerability, had its own secrets. As the Draconian ships prepared to make their first move, something strange began to happen. The alien fleet systems, the most advanced technology in the galaxy, started to malfunction. Communication signals from the ships were distorted, and control systems flickered out. It was as though a mysterious force was interfering with their technology, something the Draconians had never encountered before. At first, the Draconians thought it was a glitch, a simple bug in their systems. But as hours passed, the malfunctions grew worse. Entire warships, the pride of the Draconian fleet, began to disappear from their positions without a trace. One by one, the ships blinked out of existence. There was no explosion, no wreckage, not even a signal to explain their disappearance. They simply vanished, as if they had never been there at all. The Draconians were stunned. For the first time in their long history, they found themselves facing an enemy they could not understand or predict. Their fleet was not just being attacked, it was being erased, wiped off the face of space. This had never happened before. The Draconians, known for their overwhelming strength and technological superiority, were losing the battle without even realizing who or what was attacking them. On Earth, news spread like wildfire. Governments and military forces were confused but also hopeful. Could this be the work of human technology? How could Earth, a planet with only a fraction of the Draconians' capabilities, be causing this havoc? Scientists, engineers, and military leaders gathered in secret meetings to discuss what was happening. No one had a clear answer, but they all agreed on one thing. The Draconians were in trouble, and humanity might have a chance to fight back. However, there was still a question lingering in the air. What was causing the Draconian fleet's destruction? How was Earth pulling off something that no other species had ever managed? People across the world speculated that some advanced technology, hidden deep within Earth's military projects, was being used to disrupt the Draconian ships. But no one knew for sure. Everything was a mystery. As the Draconian fleet struggled to regain control, a sense of unease began to spread through their ranks. They had never faced a force like this, and it was clear that they were not prepared for it. For the first time in their history, the Draconians found themselves questioning everything they knew about war and conquest. How could a primitive world like Earth challenge them so easily? But this was only the beginning. As the Draconians tried to make sense of their malfunctioning technology and disappearing ships, something even more alarming occurred. The anomalies didn't just affect their ships in orbit. Strange energy fields began to form around Earth itself. No one could explain it, but it seemed as though the planet itself was fighting back, rejecting the invaders with an unseen power. The galaxy watched in shock as the mighty Draconian fleet, once unstoppable, began to unravel before their very eyes. The question on everyone's mind was the same. How had humanity, a species once considered weak and insignificant, managed to cause the downfall of the Draconian Empire's mightiest warships? Earth's story was just beginning, and the galaxy had no idea how much it was about to change. As the Draconian fleet continued to struggle against the mysterious force that had crippled their ships, Earth began to prepare for the next phase of the unexpected war. The sudden disappearance of warships and the unexplained energy fields around Earth had caused ripples across the galaxy. The Draconians were confused, but humanity had a different challenge at hand. What exactly had caused this turn of events, and how could they ensure their survival? News spread quickly, and the world's governments joined forces in a way they had never done before. A secret initiative, codenamed Project Obscura, was launched in the dead of night, hidden from the public eye. While the general population watched in disbelief as strange things happened in the sky, a group of the world's best scientists, engineers, and military strategists secretly worked together to uncover the truth. This was no ordinary scientific mission. The project was designed to uncover the mystery of the Draconians' malfunctioning ships, figure out how Earth had seemingly gained the upper hand, and determine if humanity had any chance of taking control of the situation. The leadership of Earth knew that a direct confrontation with the Draconians could still lead to devastation. But there was a glimmer of hope. Something on Earth had caused the Draconians' empire to falter, and humanity needed to understand it before it was too late. In hidden laboratories and secure bunkers across the world, brilliant minds worked tirelessly. The first key discovery came from Dr. Elena Carter, a physicist who had been studying quantum mechanics. She proposed that the mysterious disruptions in the Draconian fleet's technology were related to quantum entanglement, a phenomenon where particles separated by vast distances could still influence each other in ways that defied conventional understanding. This led her to a shocking conclusion. The energy fields around Earth were not random. They were artificially created and seemed to target the Draconians' advanced systems. The next step was to figure out how this technology worked. It was clear that Earth had somehow developed a method to manipulate quantum states on a massive scale, but no one could pinpoint the exact source. Was it human innovation, or was there something more at play? The scientists involved in Project Obscura were sure of one thing. This was no ordinary scientific breakthrough. Earth had a secret, and it was time to learn the truth. Meanwhile, the Draconians, desperate to regain control of the situation, tried to piece together their failing fleet. They ordered their fleet commanders to launch ground assaults on Earth's major cities, hoping that a direct attack might force the humans to reveal their secret. But when the Draconian soldiers set foot on Earth, they found themselves in a nightmare unlike any they had ever encountered. Instead of being met with resistance from military forces, the Draconians encountered strange, unexplained phenomena. Their weapons malfunctioned as if controlled by an invisible force, and their soldiers began experiencing terrifying hallucinations. Some Draconian soldiers reported seeing shadows move on their own, and others heard voices whispering warnings in the wind. For those who tried to advance on key human cities, the situation only worsened. They were unable to find any human resistance because, in many areas, the cities were completely abandoned. Yet their technology could not detect any sign of life. Everything seemed to be an illusion, a trap. It didn't take long for the Draconians to realize that they were not just facing an enemy with superior technology. They were facing something far worse, a force they could not understand, a force that played on their minds and turned their own fear against them. The psychological warfare Earth was waging was proving to be just as effective as any weapon the Draconians had ever used. On Earth, the public remained largely unaware of the extent of the Draconian failures. People speculated that Earth's military had developed new technologies, or that an unknown alien race was helping humanity. But the truth was far stranger than anyone could have imagined. The human leadership kept quiet, knowing that revealing too much too soon could bring disastrous consequences. The Draconians were already on edge, and if they learned the full extent of Earth's capabilities, They might retaliate in ways the world was not prepared for. As the days passed, the Draconian leadership found itself on the defensive. Their fleet was crippled, and their soldiers were on the run. But despite their losses, they refused to retreat. Their arrogance and thirst for conquest made them unwilling to accept the possibility that they could be defeated by a primitive species. Yet, as the months dragged on, and the situation grew more desperate, even the most loyal Draconian officers began to question their orders. They had never encountered an enemy like this before. Back on Earth, Project Obscura continued its research, uncovering more about the strange forces at play. It became clear that Earth's survival depended on understanding and controlling the technology responsible for the Draconians' failures. As humanity unlocked more secrets, it became evident that they were on the verge of something far greater, a force that could change the course of history. But what would humanity do with this newfound power? And could they continue to protect their planet from the relentless Draconians? The answers were still unclear, but one thing was certain. The galaxy would never see Earth the same way again. Humanity had just revealed its potential, and it had left the Draconians and the entire galaxy shocked. As the days turned into weeks, the Draconian fleet's situation grew direr by the minute. Their once feared warships, capable of destroying entire planets, were now drifting aimlessly in Earth's orbit, their engines malfunctioning, their weapons systems useless. Even their most experienced commanders were beginning to question the invincibility of their empire. No one knew why their technology was failing, but the truth was becoming clear. Earth had a hidden weapon, one that had turned the tide of battle in humanity's favor. The Draconians, known for their brutal efficiency in war, were not accustomed to being caught off guard. Yet here they were, disoriented and weak, with no idea who or what was behind their fleet's rapid downfall. Desperation set in, and the Draconian leaders made a decision. They would take the battle to Earth's surface. The orders were given to deploy ground troops to Earth's major cities. Their goal was simple: force humanity into submission and take control of the planet. However, the Draconians had underestimated what they would face on the ground. The moment their ships landed, the nightmare began. When the Draconian soldiers set foot on Earth, they expected to find human resistance, organized armies, military bases, and defensive strategies. But what they encountered instead was something completely unexpected. As soon as their boots hit the ground, their equipment began to malfunction. Weapons that had once been reliable refused to fire, and communication systems were flooded with static. The Draconians were at a loss, unable to understand what was happening. It was as though an invisible hand was preventing their technology from functioning. At first, the soldiers believed this was just a temporary glitch. But as hours passed and their frustrations grew, the situation only worsened. The malfunction spread to every piece of equipment they had: ships, ground vehicles, and weapons, leaving them helpless. Even their advanced medical devices, which could heal wounds in seconds, stopped working entirely. Their soldiers were injured, and there was no way to repair the damage. And then came the illusions. Draconian soldiers, experienced in battle and trained to keep calm under pressure, began reporting strange occurrences. At first, it was nothing more than a flicker at the edge of their vision, a shadow darting quickly across the horizon. But soon, the illusions became more intense. Entire platoons of soldiers disappeared without a sound, their screams echoing in the empty air before fading away. Others found themselves trapped in environments that weren't there, cities that vanished as soon as they tried to enter them, empty streets that seemed to stretch endlessly into darkness. Fear began to take hold. Some soldiers reported seeing monstrous creatures lurking just beyond their sight, while others claimed they heard voices, whispers urging them to turn back, to flee. The Draconians, known for their fearlessness, found themselves paralyzed by terror. Something on Earth, something far beyond their understanding, was playing tricks on their minds. But it wasn't just fear that was at play. It was a well-organized human counterattack, one that operated from the shadows. The very forces that had caused the Draconian ships to malfunction were now being used on the ground. Using advanced quantum devices developed in secret, humanity had created an invisible battlefield where the invaders couldn't trust their senses. Earth had become a labyrinth, and the Draconians were the prey. In every city they tried to occupy, the Draconians found themselves trapped. Buildings that appeared solid one moment would suddenly vanish, leaving them stumbling through an endless, shifting landscape. Roads would change direction, and structures would crumble into nothingness. It was as though Earth itself was alive, responding to every move the Draconians made. They were no longer the hunters. They were the hunted. And yet, even as the Draconians struggled to make sense of what was happening, Earth's resistance remained silent. No army marched to the front lines. No weapons were fired in open combat. Instead, the humans used their greatest advantage, their ability to think, adapt, and remain unpredictable. Every move the Draconians made was met with an unseen force, an energy that they couldn't understand or counter. The Draconian leaders, watching from orbit, realized that this was no ordinary planet. It was as if Earth had become a living, breathing entity, defending itself from the invaders. But what truly terrified them was the realization that the humans had somehow developed this power. How could a species so young, so technologically inferior, wield such control over the very fabric of space and reality? The invasion, which had seemed so straightforward just weeks before, was now a complete disaster. The Draconian fleet had failed to conquer Earth, and their forces on the surface were losing their grip with every passing hour. They tried to retreat, but even their ships seemed to turn against them, their engines faltering as they tried to leave the planet's orbit. Earth had become a nightmare for the Draconians, a place they could not conquer, a force they could not defeat. And as they retreated to regroup, the galaxy watched in shock. No one had expected Earth, a primitive world in the eyes of most, to stand up to such an advanced empire. But humanity had proven that, when pushed to the brink, they were more than capable of defending themselves. The Draconians had failed, but the true mystery had only just begun. What was this force protecting Earth, and how had humanity come to control it? The answers, as it turned out, were more profound and dangerous than anyone could have imagined. The situation had become critical for the Draconians. After weeks of failed attempts to subdue Earth, the invaders found themselves on the brink of defeat. Their fleet, once a symbol of unstoppable might, was now a collection of crippled ships floating aimlessly in space. Their ground forces had been defeated by mysterious forces they could not comprehend, and their soldiers had experienced unimaginable terror. The Draconians, always known for their brutal strength and dominance, were now questioning their empire's future. On Earth, humanity's resistance had been anything but traditional. No great battles had been fought in open fields. No military fronts had been established. Instead, the humans had relied on their ingenuity and the strange forces that seemed to protect their planet. The Draconians had underestimated Earth's ability to fight back. They had expected to conquer a planet of primitive beings, but instead, they had encountered something far more dangerous, a species capable of adapting to the most dire of circumstances, working together in ways that defied the expectations of the most powerful empires. The Draconian leadership could not stand idly by any longer. They had failed, but they were not ready to admit defeat. They made a bold decision. They would send their most powerful flagship, Scion of Flame, to Earth. The flagship was the pride of the Draconian fleet, a massive warship bristling with the most advanced weapons and defenses known to their kind. Its crew was made up of the Empire's finest officers, and its commanders were famous for their strategic brilliance. The Scion of Flame was not just a ship, it was a symbol of Draconian supremacy. Under the command of General Veltros, the Scion of Flame was dispatched to Earth with a singular mission: to crush the human resistance once and for all. The Draconians believed that with the flagship's firepower and technological superiority, they could overwhelm any defense and bring the humans to their knees. The general was confident that no force on Earth could stand against the Scion of Flame. As the flagship descended toward Earth, it became clear that the battle was far from over. Humanity, however, had other plans. The first hint of their countermeasure came as the Scion of Flame entered Earth's atmosphere. The ship's instruments began to malfunction. General Veldros quickly dismissed it as a simple disruption in the ship's systems, but as they descended closer to the surface, the situation only worsened. The Draconians had no idea that Earth's strange power had now been turned against them. The same mysterious energy fields that had caused their fleet's failures in space were now being used to disrupt their flagship. As the ship's weapon systems powered up, they flickered and shut down without warning. The Scion of Flame's advanced shields, designed to withstand direct hits from even the most powerful energy weapons, began to weaken, unable to maintain their strength against the strange forces at play. General Veldros ordered a full analysis of the situation. His crew worked tirelessly, trying to regain control of their systems, but every time they solved one problem, another would arise. Communications were jammed, weapons went offline, and their navigation systems malfunctioned in unpredictable ways. The once mighty ship, the crown jewel of the Draconian Empire, was now a prisoner of Earth's mysterious force. As the flagship descended lower, Veldros realized that they were not going to make it. The Scion of Flame was being pulled into Earth's atmosphere like a fly caught in a spider's web. Desperation set in, and Veldros gave the order to retreat. But it was too late. A massive surge of energy, far stronger than anything the Draconians had expected, hit the ship's engines. In a matter of seconds, the Scion of Flame lost all power. Its engines failed, and the massive warship plummeted toward the ground. General Veldros and his crew tried to regain control, but it was hopeless. As the ship crashed into Earth's surface, the ground shook, sending shockwaves across the planet. The Draconians had never seen anything like this. An empire that could conquer entire star systems had just been humbled by a single planet. The Scion of Flame was destroyed in a fiery explosion, and with it, the Draconians' final hope of victory. On Earth, the news of the flagship's destruction spread quickly. People had watched in awe as the massive warship fell from the sky, its final moments a symbol of the Draconian Empire's fall. The Draconians, who had once believed themselves to be invincible, had been defeated by humanity's resilience and the strange forces that had protected the planet. The Draconians were in chaos. Their flagship, the most powerful weapon in their arsenal, was gone, and their forces were in retreat. But even in their despair, they knew that Earth had not simply defeated them. It had humiliated them. The Draconians had underestimated humanity, and now they paid the price. The question remained, what was this mysterious force that had destroyed the Scion of Flame? How had Earth managed to harness such power? The Draconians were determined to find the answer, but as they retreated from Earth, they knew one thing for certain. This was a war they could not win. And Earth, it seemed, had just become the most powerful force in the galaxy. The destruction of the Scion of Flame sent shockwaves through the Draconian Empire. For the first time in their long history, they had faced a failure so complete, so humiliating, that it shook the very foundation of their belief in their superiority. General Veldros, once a symbol of the Draconian military might, had failed in his mission. His flagship, the pride of their fleet, lay in ruins on Earth's surface, and his troops had retreated in disarray. The Draconians were now in full retreat, unable to recover from their crushing defeat. But even as the Draconians licked their wounds and began to regroup, they knew one thing was clear. Earth was no longer a planet to be underestimated. The galaxy had always viewed humanity as insignificant, primitive, and weak in comparison to the great empires that dominated the stars. But now, Earth had proven that it was capable of more than anyone had imagined. The Draconians, humiliated and on the defensive, were left to question their very understanding of the universe. Back on Earth, things were changing as well. People had watched with awe as the Draconian fleet's most powerful ship had been destroyed. Governments celebrated, but there was also a deep sense of unease. No one knew exactly what had happened or how humanity had defeated an empire so far beyond their technological reach. Was it Earth's military? Was it some sort of alien intervention? Or was there something deeper at play? Scientists working on Project Obscura, the secret initiative aimed at understanding the mysterious forces protecting Earth, were beginning to make breakthroughs. Dr. Elena Carter, the physicist who had first theorized about the quantum disruptions affecting the Draconian fleet, was at the heart of the investigation. She had spent weeks analyzing data, trying to understand the source of the strange energy fields that had crippled the Draconian warships. What she discovered would change everything. It was not just some advanced human technology that had caused the Draconian fleet's failure. There was something else, something far older, far more powerful than anything humanity had ever known. Earth itself seemed to be alive in ways that no one had ever imagined. It wasn't just that the planet had a protective force. It was as if Earth itself was awakening to something that had been dormant for millennia. Dr. Carter's research led her to an astonishing discovery. The energy fields that had disrupted the Draconian technology were not human-made. They were natural. Earth had long harbored a mysterious energy deep within its core, an ancient force that had remained hidden beneath the surface. But this energy was not just some dormant power. It was sentient, intelligent, and it had begun to awaken. The realization hit Dr. Carter like a lightning bolt. The strange energy that had protected Earth was not the result of some hidden human technology. It was a manifestation of Earth's own consciousness. The planet, in some unimaginable way, had a form of intelligence, and it had been waiting, perhaps for centuries, to make itself known. For the first time, Dr. Carter realized that humanity was not merely protecting the planet. The planet was protecting humanity. This was a relationship that went far beyond anything humans had understood. Earth was not just a place to live. It was a living entity, and it had begun to fight back against those who sought to harm it. As the days passed, more and more pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. Scientists and researchers from around the world were drawn to the revelation that Earth was alive in a way they had never imagined. This discovery was beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. The idea that a planet could have its own consciousness, its own will, was a concept that defied everything humans knew about the universe. But the discovery also brought with it a profound responsibility. If Earth had this kind of power, then humanity had to learn to understand it, respect it, and perhaps even communicate with it. There was no telling what other forces lay dormant within the planet, waiting to be awakened. Meanwhile, the Draconians, still reeling from their defeat, began to realize the full extent of the threat Earth posed. They had been wrong in their assessment of humanity. Earth was not just a primitive world ripe for conquest. It was a powerful force in its own right. And now, as the Draconians struggled to recover from their losses, they knew that this was not a fight they could win with their current methods. Something far greater was at play, and it was only a matter of time before the galaxy would learn the true power of Earth. The Draconians had underestimated humanity. And worse, they had underestimated Earth itself. As Earth's true potential began to unfold, the galaxy held its breath. What would happen next? What role would humanity play in the greater cosmic order? And what would the Draconians do now that they knew they were facing not just humans, but the very consciousness of the planet itself? The answers remained uncertain, but one thing was clear. The galaxy had just witnessed the beginning of a new era. And Earth, once considered insignificant, was now a force to be reckoned with. The events on Earth had spread like wildfire across the galaxy. News of the Draconians' failure and the mysterious force protecting Earth had traveled far and wide, reaching the ears of galactic leaders and powerful empires. What was once considered a small, insignificant planet was now at the center of a universal mystery. The Draconians, who had once been a dominant empire, had been humbled by an unexpected force that no one could explain. As the Draconians licked their wounds and attempted to regroup, a new player entered the scene, The Galactic Council. The Council, a coalition of the most advanced and influential civilizations in the galaxy, had watched Earth's struggle with growing interest. They had kept a watchful eye on the planet for centuries, knowing it held a potential far beyond its primitive appearance. The sudden appearance of a sentient, protective energy on Earth had raised alarm bells across the galaxy. The Galactic Council had decided it was time to intervene. The Council's decision to send an envoy to Earth was swift. Their representatives, known as the emissaries, were dispatched to make contact with humanity and learn more about the mysterious force that had defended Earth from the Draconians. The emissaries were a group of the galaxy's brightest minds, scientists, diplomats, and strategists from various civilizations who had come together to preserve peace and order across the stars. They were not warriors or conquerors, but instead their purpose was to observe, understand, and protect the balance of the galaxy. As the emissaries approached Earth, the planet's mysterious energy stirred. Earth had already proven it could defend itself from invaders, but now it was about to face a new challenge: the arrival of a galactic power that demanded answers. The first encounter took place in the skies above Earth as the emissary ships descended toward the planet's atmosphere. Unlike the Draconians, who had arrived with weapons raised and intentions of conquest, the emissaries came in peace. Their ships were sleek and beautiful, crafted with advanced technology, but they held no threat to Earth's inhabitants. They were here to communicate, not to fight. Dr. Elena Carter, the scientist who had first discovered the strange energy fields protecting Earth, was chosen to be humanity's representative in this unprecedented meeting. She had become the face of Earth's resistance, a symbol of humanity's ability to adapt and survive. As the emissary ships landed near the United Nations headquarters, Dr. Carter and a team of world leaders gathered to meet with the visitors. The emissaries stepped out of their ships, their forms humanoid but with features that were distinctly alien. They were tall and elegant, their skin glowing with a soft luminescence, and their eyes sparkled with an intelligence far beyond anything humanity had encountered. Their leader, an emissary named Zorath, stepped forward and addressed Dr. Carter and the gathered leaders. "We have come to understand what has occurred here," Zorath said, his voice calm and resonant. "We have observed the Draconians' failed invasion, and we seek to understand the force that has protected your planet. The energy that shielded Earth is unlike anything we have encountered. It is not a weapon, but a sentient presence, and it has responded to the Draconians in ways that defy our understanding of the universe." Dr. Carter, still grappling with the full implications of her research, nodded. It's not just a force, it's Earth itself. The planet is alive in ways we didn't understand before. The energy protecting us, it's a manifestation of the planet's consciousness. Earth is aware. Zorath's expression softened with understanding. "We have observed life across countless worlds, but never have we encountered a planet with such a deep, intrinsic connection to the life it supports. The energy you speak of, this consciousness, has evolved in ways we cannot explain. It is a power beyond even the reach of our most advanced technologies." The emissaries spent days on Earth, exchanging knowledge with humanity's top scientists, trying to comprehend the true nature of Earth's energy. They discovered that the energy was not a random occurrence, but the result of a long-forgotten process. Earth had been evolving in secret, developing a form of intelligence that had remained hidden for eons. It had grown strong enough to protect itself, and now it had the potential to change the course of the galaxy itself. As the discussions continued, the emissaries proposed an idea. "We have the technology to connect you with the energy," Zorath explained. "If you are willing, we can help you communicate with Earth's consciousness. We believe that with our assistance, you could unlock the full potential of the power that has been protecting you." The offer was tempting, but it came with great responsibility. If humanity could harness Earth's power, it could reshape the balance of the galaxy. It could mean both incredible advancements for humanity and the potential for conflict with other galactic powers who would see Earth's newfound strength as a threat. Dr. Carter and the world leaders were faced with a difficult decision. Would they accept the emissary's offer and unlock Earth's full potential, or would they keep the secret of Earth's power hidden, knowing that the knowledge could change the galaxy forever? The arrival of the emissaries had marked the beginning of a new chapter for Earth. No longer would the planet be seen as insignificant. But as humanity prepared to make its decision, one thing was certain. Earth was no longer just a planet in the universe. It was a force that would shape the future of all life across the stars. The decision facing Dr. Elinga Carter and the leaders of Earth weighed heavily on their shoulders. The emissaries from the Galactic Council had offered humanity a chance to connect with Earth's mysterious energy, a force far beyond anything known in the galaxy. With this power, humanity could not only protect itself, but potentially become the most advanced civilization in the universe. But with that power came enormous responsibility and the risk of attracting unwanted attention from other galactic empires. Earth was no longer a quiet, insignificant planet. It was now at the center of a cosmic storm. As the leaders of Earth deliberated, the emissaries patiently waited. Zorath, their leader, was keenly aware of the gravity of the decision before humanity. "What you decide will shape the future of your people," he said gently to Dr. Carter. "The power of Earth's consciousness is unlike anything we've encountered, but with it comes the potential for great consequences. The galaxy is watching, and how you use this gift will determine your place in the stars." Dr. Carter's mind raced as she considered the possibilities. She had seen the amazing things Earth's energy could do, from defeating the Draconians to protecting humanity from harm. But could humanity control such power? Could they use it wisely, without succumbing to the temptation of domination or destruction? Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft voice. It was a whisper, almost imperceptible, yet unmistakably clear in her mind. It was Earth itself, its consciousness, reaching out to her. "Do not fear," the voice spoke, not in words, but in a deep, resonating feeling. "I have watched over you, and I have learned. We are one. The time has come for us to awaken together." Tears welled up in Dr. Carter's eyes as she realized the full truth. Earth wasn't just a passive entity. It was connected to humanity in ways they had never imagined. The planet's energy, its consciousness, had always been there, watching over them, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. And now, that moment had arrived. She turned to the world leaders gathered in the council room. "We have a choice," she said, her voice steady despite the overwhelming emotions she felt. "We can accept the emissary's offer, and with their help, unlock the full potential of Earth's energy. But we must remember, we are not the only ones who are watching. The galaxy is vast, and not all of its inhabitants will welcome this new power." The leaders exchanged glances, understanding the weight of her words. They had seen the destruction the Draconians had caused, and they knew that Earth's power could either be a blessing or a curse. In that moment, they made a collective decision. Humanity would embrace this power, but they would do so with caution and wisdom. They would learn to communicate with Earth's consciousness and unlock its potential, but they would do so in a way that would benefit all life, not just humanity. With the decision made, the emissaries began their work. They connected their advanced technology to Earth's energy, allowing humanity to establish communication with the planet's consciousness. It was a strange and awe-inspiring experience. Dr. Carter and the others were able to speak with Earth itself, feeling its thoughts and emotions, a deep bond that transcended the boundaries of time and space. Earth shared its knowledge, its wisdom, and its power with humanity. The planet's consciousness had been evolving for millennia, and now it was ready to help guide humanity into a new era. With Earth's energy, humanity could build cities that stretched to the stars, develop technologies that would cure diseases and end hunger, and explore the universe as never before. But it was clear, Earth's power was not for conquest. It was a gift to be used with respect, compassion, and understanding. As the weeks passed, humanity began to harness the power of Earth's consciousness. They built new cities, powered by clean, sustainable energy that had once seemed impossible. They healed the planet, restoring ecosystems that had been damaged for centuries. But more than that, humanity began to understand its place in the universe, not as conquerors, but as stewards of Earth and its energy. The emissaries watched as humanity transformed, and they marveled at the progress. "You have chosen wisely," Zoreth said. "You have not sought to dominate, but to learn and grow. This is the way of true power." As the news of Earth's awakening spread across the galaxy, empires that had once looked down on humanity now saw them in a new light. No longer was Earth a primitive world to be conquered. It was a beacon of hope, a symbol of the power of life and intelligence that could arise from the most unlikely places. The Draconians, who had once tried to crush Earth under their heel, now understood that their defeat was not the result of human strength alone. It was Earth itself that had defended them. In the end, humanity stood on the brink of a new dawn. The galaxy was no longer a distant, unknowable place. It was a realm filled with possibilities, and Earth, once considered insignificant, had become a force to be reckoned with. Dr. Carter stood on the steps of the United Nations, looking out over the world that had been forever changed. The sun set on the horizon, casting a warm, golden glow over the planet. It was the beginning of a new era, a time when humanity and Earth would stand together, not as separate beings, but as one. A time when the galaxy would come to know that Earth was no longer just a planet. It was a living, breathing force, capable of shaping the future of all life across the stars. And so, with Earth's power at their side, humanity was ready to step into the future, knowing that their place in the galaxy had just begun.